Welcome to a deep dive into a topic that, well, it might just redefine how you think about success in the wine world. We're talking about the art and science of networking.
Hmm.
For 2025, there's this really interesting shift happening. Success seems to depend less on what's in the bottle, surprisingly, and more on who knows about it.
That's a big change.
Right. So our mission today is to unpack insights from a recent source that, well, it clearly highlights how wine industry networking has become the absolute backbone of everything. Distribution deals, media coverage, even, moving up in your career.
Yeah,
And this isn't just about grabbing business cards. It's really about building genuine, lasting connections.
absolutely. And that deeply relationship-driven nature it's truly central to everything in this industry.
Okay.
In the wine world, your reputation isn't just an asset. It's almost like a currency that gets shared fast. Both good and bad, by the way.
Right. Travels quickly.
It really
Yeah.
does. And a single genuine connection, honestly, it can unlock opportunities that, 1,000 cold calls never could. Because here, trust built over a shared glass it's far more valuable than some polished pitch.
Mm.
You'll see exactly how crucial networking is for getting everything from, say, prime distribution to that really important media attention.
You mentioned doors opening that would otherwise stay closed. Is that just about immediate deals, or does networking really impact the long-term resilience of a winery or a career, especially when things get tough? What makes it so essential for longevity?
Oh, it's absolutely about long-term resilience.
Mm.
The source really emphasizes how your connections directly fuel distribution channels, media exposure, and even creative collaborations.
Right.
The wine world is incredibly tight-knit,
Mhm.
which means reputation moves very, very quickly, good or bad.
Yeah.
And beyond the immediate stuff, networking keeps professionals like you looped into the latest trends, opportunities, innovations.
Keeps you current.
Exactly. Think about it. That coveted spot at a regional wine festival probably went to someone who built relationships with the organizers over time.
Makes sense.
And a feature in a major publication like Wine Spectator, often that's initiated through a personal intro, not just a cold pitch sent out of the blue.
Yeah.
It's about creating this whole ecosystem,
Mm.
really, where opportunities kind of flow naturally your way.
I like that, thinking about it as an ecosystem. The source actually shared a great story about building a local wine community and its ripple effects.
Exactly. Yeah, they describe a winemaker who helps someone else understand microclimate nuances for
Mm.
their vineyard, just offered some advice.
Okay.
And that genuine act of assistance later on led to them collaborating on a wine education series together.
Wow.
Yeah, just shows that being known as reliable, knowledgeable, and importantly, generous with your connections makes others far more likely to recommend you when something new pops up. It's less about a direct, I do this for you, you do this for me, and more about the value you bring to the whole community.
So, knowing how crucial these connections are, where do you actually find them? I mean, I imagine it's not just about hitting the big traditional trade shows anymore, is it?
You're right, it's broadened out quite a bit. The landscape includes both the traditional routes and some pretty cutting-edge avenues now.
Okay.
So traditionally, yeah, you had the major trade shows like Pro and Expo, the London Wine Fair, huge events. They gather thousands of industry people, offer amazing opportunities for international connections. But let's be honest, they can be really overwhelming.
Oh, definitely. Sensory overload.
Totally. But here's where it gets interesting. The source points out that often it's the smaller regional events and more intimate tastings that yield the really valuable professional connections, where you can actually have meaningful conversations.
Right, not just a quick handshake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about regional wine road associations or those appellation-specific events, the ones focused on wines from a particular legally defined region. They're perfect for connecting with neighbors who genuinely understand your specific challenges, your terroir.
And beyond the in-person stuff,
Mhm.
how have online platforms really changed the game here?
Oh, online has definitely opened up new frontiers.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, for example, has pretty much become the go-to platform for wine pros to showcase their expertise and, build connections.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find industry-specific groups there, like the Guild of Sommeliers or the Wine Business Education Network. Lots of good discussion happens there.
Okay.
And, don't underestimate the value of expanding beyond just immediate industry contacts.
Hmm.
Even something simple like taking wine with coworkers from different fields
Mhm.
can broaden your perspective, maybe spark an idea.
Interesting point.
Yeah, but a key takeaway here is that strategic networking means being, well, selective about where you invest your time. It should be based on your specific goals, or are you looking for distribution? Or maybe production insights. Tailor your approach.
Okay, so let's talk about how to do this, because this isn't about slick sales pitches, right? The
Mm.
source says the wine industry values authenticity above almost everything else. So how do you network genuinely without it feeling...
That's such a crucial point.
Mm-hmm.
The source really stresses genuine curiosity over those polished pitches.
Right.
When you meet someone new, try asking thoughtful questions about their work before you even think about mentioning your own stuff.
Good advice.
And wine itself gives you natural conversation starters, doesn't it? Just ask about someone's journey into wine, or maybe their favorite recent discovery.
Yeah, always a good icebreaker.
There's a fantastic anecdote in the source about someone connecting with a distributor, not by pitching their portfolio, but just by discussing a shared love for, like, overlooked Spanish varieties.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And 2 months later, that simple conversation led to the distributor reaching out to carry the wines. It just started with a shared passion, not a sales agenda.
That story about the Spanish varieties really hits home. I remember once trying to connect with someone about a new vintage, and it felt so awkward until we somehow got talking about a bizarre food pairing we both loved. It totally shifted the energy.
Exactly. That's the authenticity factor.
So what happens after that initial connection? You've had the good chat, you've found common ground. Where do most networking efforts actually succeed or fail? Is it the follow-up?
That's a critical question because, yes, follow-up is absolutely where most networking efforts succeed or will fall flat.
Okay.
It's really, really key
Yeah.
to send a personalized message within a few days. Don't wait too long. Reference something specific from your conversation and maybe offer something of value, an interesting article you saw, an introduction, or even just genuine appreciation for their insights.
Show you were listening.
Precisely.
Hmm.
Like taking notes during winery tours. That allows you to reference specifics in your follow-up. It shows you truly valued what you learned.
Smart.
And you got to think of wine networking not as a sprint to a sale, but more like a slow fermentation, you know?
Ha! Good analogy.
Yeah, the richest, most valuable connections aren't just extracted. They're cultivated over time. It takes patience, consistency, and a real focus on building genuine connections rather than just trying to get something out of it immediately.
Right. So moving into 2025, your digital presence is obviously huge for networking in the wine industry. How do you build a strategic online presence that can genuinely, transform careers, not just act like an online resume?
Great question. LinkedIn is particularly valuable here. It's the place for sharing insights, commenting on industry trends, highlighting collaborations, basically, demonstrating your expertise and engagement.
Okay.
And the source clarifies something important. The content that performs best tends to be educational or conversational, not just overtly promotional.
Makes sense. People tune out ads.
Exactly. They give a great example. Posts about, say, harvest challenges or interesting pairing discoveries consistently get more traction than just announcements about winning awards.
Interesting.
Yeah, so maybe Instagram for the visual storytelling, the vineyard shots, the lifestyle.
Uh-huh.
But LinkedIn is better for those more in-depth industry discussions. And what's crucial here, really, is that engagement matters way more than just broadcasting your own message constantly.
So it's less about being a content machine, churning stuff out, and more about actually being part of the ongoing conversation.
Exactly that, yeah. A really practical tip the source gives is to set aside maybe 15 minutes a day. Use that time to comment meaningfully on other people's posts, congratulate colleagues on their achievements, participate in relevant industry discussions.
Little and often.
Right. That regular engagement keeps you visible, and it shows you have genuine interest in the community, not just yourself. Our source even mentions people organizing, like virtual wine tastings, as a way to expand networks in new, creative ways.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. But the key is consistency. A modest, regular schedule of quality interaction is much better than just sporadic bursts of activity. Online networking should feel like an ongoing conversation, not a megaphone.
Okay, so the magic often happens when these brief encounters, these casual chats, actually turn into meaningful professional relationships. How do you make that leap from just a nice chat at an event to maybe a solid career opportunity down the line?
The source actually details a pretty simple follow-up formula that seems to really work.
Okay, lay it on us.
It's basically
Yep.
express appreciation for the conversation, reference something specific you discussed again, showing you listened, and then propose a concrete, low-pressure next step.
Like what?
Could be as simple as, maybe we could grab a coffee next time I'm in town.
Yeah.
Or, I'd love to send you that article I mentioned. This approach is actually credited in the source with converting a casual chat at a wine festival into a real consulting opportunity with a luxury brand.
Wow, okay. So it works.
It seems to. But this raises another important question, doesn't it? How do you offer value before you even think about asking for favors? How do you build that relationship momentum in a genuine way?
Yeah, that's key. You don't want to seem like you're just trying to get something.
Exactly. It's all about proactive generosity. Think about who in your network might be able to help them succeed. Make thoughtful introductions. For instance, connecting a contact who's struggling with bottle photography to a photographer friend you know.
That's a great example.
Yeah. Or don't underestimate the power of small gestures. Sending relevant articles you think they'd find interesting, congratulating them on achievements you see online, or sometimes just checking in periodically with a simple, how are things going?
Little touch points.
Right. There's another great example in the source about a sommelier who received 3 thoughtful wine recommendations from a supplier with absolutely no expectation of return. Just, hey, thought you might like these. 6 months later, those wines ended up being featured in the restaurant program.
See, that's building trust.
It is. Even hosting something informal, like a wine and cheese night, can be a relaxed way to reconnect and deepen those ties. It really reinforces the need for patience and genuine interest. Remember that story about the distributor relationship?
The one that took 8 months.
Yeah, the one that eventually accounted for 40% of sales.
Yeah.
It started with just a casual conversation. It took 8 months of nurturing that connection before it turned into a business partnership. The focus has to be on the relationship, fundamentally, not the immediate transaction.
That's such a powerful reminder. Okay, let's try and distill this down into some really actionable strategies people can use right away. Small, consistent actions for, say, 2025 that can yield big results over time.
Okay, yeah, let's get practical. Think about using digital business cards, maybe with a QR code linking directly to your LinkedIn profile. Makes it super easy for people to connect.
Nice, techie.
Set monthly reminders for yourself. Just check in with, say, 3 to 5 key contacts each month. Doesn't have to be a long message.
Okay.
Make it a goal to write maybe 2 or 3 public endorsements on LinkedIn per quarter for people whose work you genuinely admire. That gets noticed.
Good karma, too.
Totally. And join at least one online discussion weekly, whether it's on Reddit, maybe Clubhouse, Xspaces, the Discord servers related to wine, wherever your people are talking.
Be present.
Be present. And make sure to send relevant articles or interesting industry news to people you've recently connected with, again, offering value.
These are all great concrete tips. So if we pull all this together, what's maybe the single most powerful strategy underlying all of this in the new networking landscape?
You know, despite all the tech and tactics, the most powerful strategy really remains the simplest one. Just being helpful without any expectation of immediate return.
Back to generosity.
Exactly. Whether it's making an introduction, sharing a resource you found, or sometimes just truly listening when someone's facing a challenge. That genuine helpfulness creates these lasting impressions. And those impressions are what translate into meaningful opportunities down the line. It's really the ultimate long-term investment in your career and your community.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening? I think this deep dive really shows that building a strong network in the wine industry requires, well, intention, definitely patience, and above all, authenticity. It's really not about just collecting contacts, is it? It's about building a community of professionals who genuinely trust and value your contributions.
That's it, exactly. And the connections you nurture today, they might not yield obvious benefits for months, maybe even years, but they are creating that foundation for sustainable success, the kind that helps you weather market fluctuations and all the changes the industry throws at you.
So the next time you're at a tasting, or you join an online discussion, or you reach out to a new contact, remember you're not just exchanging information, you're actually creating possibilities.
Yeah. That distributor you meet today might become your biggest champion tomorrow. The winemaker you help out with some small technical challenge, they might introduce you to your next employer. In an industry that's so built on passion and personal relationships, this kind of thoughtful wine industry networking, it might just be the most valuable skill you can develop.
And here's a final thought to leave you with. Consider how you might apply these principles: authentic connection, long-term value, proactive generosity, not just in the wine world, but really in any professional sphere where relationships truly matter. How could that change things for you?